Hi guys, so the walls are crumbling and falling down all around Donald Trump. The most powerful, influential man in the United States and practically the entire world has finally come into his knees as the Epstein saga thrusts back into the spotlight. After 43 days of government shutdown, finally, the disgraced, pathetic Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, sworn in Adelita Agava, hope I said that last name right, from Arizona, after 53 days delayed from the Speaker. And we all know why he delayed her vote, because she was the 118th signature to have a petition to force a vote into the floor and override Mike Johnson's authority so they can put this on the vote so they can release the Epstein files, all of it. And 4 Republicans joined the 213 Democrats to get all the Epstein files out to the public once and for all. And in the meantime, the Trump administration has been trying everything in their power to have a pressure campaign against the party's will to try to block this. The fact that a president of the United States is trying to protect pedophiles is beyond me, and the fact that people still support him after these serious allegations against him have come out into the light is beyond me. After the government shutdown ended, the Democratic House Committee released damning emails of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's having a conversation. This was years before his death. And it mentioned Donald Trump so many times. And then they've been hard at work, and they filed a subpoena to the Epstein estate, and the Epstein estate released 22,000 emails and gave it to Congress. And the Democratic Committee released 3 emails stating that a lot was going on that Trump hasn't told everybody. And it really did seem like there's a lot of things that Trump is hiding from the public and also his base. So we're just wondering, what's he hiding? A lot of emails have come out. The Republican side, on their side of the committee, they try to release the rest of the emails to try to flood the zone. But the main focus now is that those emails, because it contradicts everything that Donald Trump has been saying. Donald Trump, as of late, since this whole saga had started since this summer, Donald Trump said that, yes, they were best friends. Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were best friends back in the 80s and 90s. And no, this is in the 90s area when Jeffrey Epstein was actually doing his sex crimes, trafficking minors. So this was the height in that era. And Donald Trump was friends with him. He said they had a fallout. Donald Trump and Epstein had a fallout in the early 2000s because he said he was stealing young girls or girls employees from his Mar-a-Lago, and he didn't like that. And he kept telling them to stop. But once he kept doing it, he said that was it, and he cut him off. And then I guess once he found out all the dirty things that he was doing, he cut him off. And then he had the nerve to say in the summer when he was in Air Force One that Virginia Giuffre, that was one of the victims that committed suicide, and her book just released. I recommend people reading that. And the way he says it, it's just so disgusting how these rich, powerful men think that they're entitled to whatever they could fucking do. He said, yeah, he stole her from me. So it was like her property. It was like his property. Like, who in the fuck says that? And so she was one of the victims. And in that book, it literally exonerates him. So I just don't understand why Donald Trump won't release the fucking files. But we all know why. now that these emails have come to revelation and more are about to come, it really shows there's a lot of stuff that Donald Trump is hiding from everyone. And there's more to the story of their friendship and how close they were. And I'm going to give you a timeline. In 2010, when they were interrogating Jeffrey Epstein, this was the beginning of the fall from him, of Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was asked if him and Trump socialized together. And he said yes. And he knew what that meant. Because we all knew the reputation of Jeffrey Epstein. Well, the feds and everything knew what was going on. So they asked him if they socialized with him. And he said yes. The next question was, Epstein was asked if he and Trump socialized around young girls. And he paused. And he said, as much as if I would like to tell you right now at this moment, since I'm being interrogated, I'm going to have to plead the 5th, 6th, 7th, or whatever freaking amendment, whatever he has rights, instead of actually answering. So that means you're guilty as fuck if you plead the 5th. So there was that. And then new revelations show from the emails that right before the 2026 election, Epstein was at Trump Tower in New York meeting with Donald Trump. Nobody knew that. And that contradicts everything that Donald Trump said, that he had a fallout with him and he stopped talking to him, and he hasn't talked to him since 2010 after he found out he was a creep and it was a sex offender and all that. But yet in 2016 he was at his tower having a meeting. Why? And then in 2017, after the 2016 elections, Donald Trump was already president. Emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Elaine Maxwell, he says, I have met some very, very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent soul in his body, and he calls Trump very dangerous. So that's very key. And then in 2018, Jeffrey Epstein was talking to somebody. It seemed like Jeffrey Epstein was trying to take down Donald Trump, and he knew a lot of shit about Donald Trump. And this comes into play when it seems, the whole saga and scandal and the conspiracy theories flowing around between the whole decade that Donald Trump and his family and his crony puppets that are his officials right now started, by the way. They're the ones that promised their base that they will release the Epstein file because they kept telling everybody that these powerful Democrats, that these powerful elites were in these files, and that the Democratic Party is protecting them, and that even Joe Biden and his family were in there, and that they were protecting pedophiles. And if we get elected, we're going to be the ones to finally unleash all this and jail all of them to get justice for them. That was their fucking campaign. And it seemed like, Jeffrey Epstein had a lot of dirt. And that's just me thinking, where there was a conspiracy theories and people want to know, nobody thinks he died alone. Nobody thinks that he committed suicide. Everybody thinks that he was murdered. And this brings up a lot of questions, like, what dirt did he have on him? Why is Donald Trump so keen to try not to release these files? Who is he protecting? Like, if you're so innocent, if you have nothing to do with it, why are you so scared to release these files? What's the problem? So in 2018, Epstein was talking to this unknown person, and it said it would all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that. Epstein says, it's wild because I am the only one to take him down. Again, which contradicts Donald Trump when he says he hasn't talked to him since 2000, and they had a fallout. But it seems like Jeffrey Epstein was still contacting him, knew a lot of dirt about Donald Trump, knew a lot of information. I guess in the months and a few years before he passed, he was actually trying to get the information out, like dirt on Trump, and try to take him down. So that's very suspicious. Nobody knew this. And then finally in 2018, he sent an email. In 2019, I think this was a few months before he passed, before he was, he committed suicide, whatever, allegedly, to Michael Wolff. He's a political reporter. And Epstein says, Trump said he asked me to resign. And this was the 2000 thing that Donald Trump was saying, that he cut him off in the early 2000s because he was taking girls from his Mar-a-Lago, like the employees, the girls of the employees from his Mar-a-Lago estate or whatever. And this is what he was talking about. And Epstein says, Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Listen to that. Of course he knew about the girls. So it's like, how much did he know about Epstein's crimes? And it seems like Donald Trump wasn't really telling the whole true story about that he didn't know. And once he found out, he cut him off. He says, of course he knew about what was going on. So that's crazy. So the floodgates are opening now, and it's just going to continue to get worse, worse, worse. And again, the next week, since the 218th vote by Alita Gajardo from Arizona, she finally signed it. They're going to release the votes for it next week. And it seems like a lot of Republicans are about to break with Donald Trump on this one. As of now, nine months in, the Republicans have been steadfast of being so disloyal and so spineless to their constituents that they only are beholden to Donald Trump, and they have done everything he has asked of them. You got to remember, Congress is supposed to be for the people, not the president. But they have completely been so pathetic, so little, and it's so stupid. It's so discouraging. Like, these people have no hearts. But now it seems the gates are opening against Donald Trump because, again, they know the Republican base, and the whole Trump campaign not only was just to fix the border, to try to lower costs and fix everything on day one, which we all knew it was bullshit. His core MAGA supporters were so enhanced and so brainwashed in believing about the Epstein controversy, believing that Democrats were involved. A lot of MAGA influencers banked for years on this, and they really helped bring Donald Trump back into the White House, stating that he's going to be our savior. He's the one's going to bring these politicians, elites, the Democratic Party, for justice and put them in jail for their crimes, and being part of the Epstein sex trafficking rule and all that. And comes to find out, there's a lot of really damning information that Donald Trump has not said to the public. And a lot of people will soon realize what they did by voting this convicted felon con artist back into the White House. So right now you have 4 Republicans that signed with the Democrats. Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna led the charge. God bless them. Donald Trump has been going apeshit on Thomas Massie, and they have spent billions of dollars or millions of dollars against him because he's up for re-election. But obviously it's not worked because Thomas Massie is in good shape. People want transparency. They want to know what's going on with the Epstein files. They want to know who are the ones that fucking sex trafficking these young girls. The victims have dealt with so much, and they want to know, what are we going to do about these people that keep getting away with this shit? It is not good. One thing about Americans, we hate sex offenders. One thing about Americans, we hate adults taking advantage of young children. And I say not only girls, because there's kids that take advantage also. There's boys that get taken advantage of too by a guy, by their parents, or, stepdads, everything. And not only girls get this, unfortunately. And so people want to know what the fuck's going on. And we're tired. Everything that they're seeing by Donald Trump and the way he's trying everything and effortlessly to try to stop this is so pathetic. It's not surprising, but it's fucking pathetic. And it just makes him more guilty as fuck. So Thomas Massie, MTG from Georgia, Nancy Mace, she was a victim of abuse from her ex-husband. So she understands how these girls feel. So she signed it. She's steadfast. and Lauren Boebert, out of all people. And to make this even more insane, Donald Trump and his administration summoned Lauren to the White House, to the Situation Room, to try to pressure her to get her name out of that position vote. Can you imagine? Like, these people are not even fucking hiding it. The Situation Room in the White House is used for real serious fucking war situations. The Iraq War, the Osama bin Laden, when we all remember that famous picture of Obama and Hillary Clinton sitting down while they're watching historic moment unfold, while they're about to kill the fucking terrorist that was the architect of 9/11. That's the Situation Room. No regular congressperson just fucking goes. This is high officials of an administration that go there. So for him to fucking do that, what does that tell you? Like, he's guilty as fuck. And it's just so disgusting how people still try to defend this. And like, I believe once more information comes out, people are going to start realizing like, this guy is a pedophile. Or if he's not in this crap, he's protecting pedophiles. And that's not okay. As the majority of the base is Christian, they don't believe in that shit. And they're going to soon realize what they did by voting this guy in. And it's going to be the downfall of Donald Trump. We'll see. I don't think it's going to completely, obviously dishonor him, like get impeached and like resign and shit. That's not going to happen. I don't think so. He still has a hold of the base, and Donald Trump still holds a big influence in the Republican Party, unfortunately. But politically, it would destroy him, especially in the 2026 midterms. And I cannot wait for that. So right now, they're still waiting for more emails. Now the victims are helping out too, where they're giving them guidance, and they're saying, follow the money. We want to know where the money comes from. So they're waiting for the subpoena to get that from the state. The state's been very cooperative, which is crazy to me because not even the DOJ has gone to them to get this stuff before Congress has. Or I think the estate said no to DOJ. So I'm like, I think they're really trying to get this information out because they want justice for the victims, and they know how Epstein is or who he was. And it's just like crazy how a lot has come into the spotlight. And all of this came not from the Democrats. The Republicans are trying to spin the narrative saying that all of a sudden the Democrats are just trying to use this against Trump. Why didn't Biden did this in the last 4 years? First of all, during the Biden administration, when Democrats were running in the 2020 election, the Democrats were steadfast in talking about pocketbook issues. Kamala Harris, she talked about giving $25,000 for first-time home buyers to try to get a home up front. She had an economic agenda talking about actual people's issues. She wasn't talking about Epstein, which is what Trump, J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Bongino, whoever the fuck that's in the FBI or whatever, they all campaigned on this shit. So the base wants this. And the Democrats now, of course, they're going to fucking use it. They know the Trump supporters want this. Now, there's a poll that says 80% of the American people want the release of the Epstein files. They want transparency from this shit. And it's going to keep getting more and more and more interesting. People are going to want to know. They're not going to stop. And instead of Donald Trump just releasing everything, he has done the complete opposite of what an innocent person will do. He told Pam Bondi, tell everybody that there's nothing. After Pam Bondi said that there's files on my desk about it in February. J.D. Vance in podcast, I forgot the name of it. He said, yes, we have to release the Epstein files. The people deserve to know. He said it in his own words. Donald Trump said it 3 or 4 times and all through the campaign that, yes, I'm willing to release everything. Why all of a sudden the change of heart? What's on those files that he's so scared to show the public? What's the problem? So one needs to tell themselves, who are we kidding here? We see the writing on the wall. MAGA really needs to wake up and really see what this is. You guys are supporting not only a convicted felon, but a guy that's protecting pedophiles, elites, after he promised to drain the swamp. I'm sorry, but he is the swamp. He's always been the swamp. The most corrupted president of the United States of America, the most corrupt administration in history. And again, back to Maxwell, she was convicted in December 29, 2001. Who was president? Biden. If Biden really had something against her, he would give her a sweetheart deal. No, she was sentenced to 20 years during the Biden administration. That was Biden's DOJ. And bigger point, Jeffrey Epstein was murdered in 2019. That was during the Trump administration. So people need to wake up and actually realize that the facts are what they are. There's no hiding the truth here. There's no way to spin this. And I think it's ridiculous that the Republicans all of a sudden want to try to spin that the Democrats are bullshitting, they're selective. No, because Donald Trump, his own words, everything he's doing just fucking contradicts him and makes him seem guilty as fuck. Like, you campaigned on this, bro. You told your followers that you would release everything. They want results, and you're not giving to them, and they're not going to be okay with that. And this is not going to go away. So, I'm not going to say I'm happy, because honestly, I feel terrible for the victims. But I'm happy this is finally coming into play, because, something's got to give with this guy. He's been a complete disaster, a complete failure. And I know the MAGA movement will soon pass. And once Donald Trump is out of office, it will probably soon dissolve. And I think that's for the best. I'm sorry. We need the country to heal. But will the Epstein saga finally end the Trump regime? Leave your comments below. If you like the video, like and subscribe. And I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you.